Hello there, my name is Pastor Harvey, and I sincerely desire to wish you a happy Independence Day. But just before I do that, let's find a way to put a definition to the word independence, and that will help us relate it with the Nigerian context to see if truly we are celebrating independence or not. What is independence? Independence is a state of being free from the control, influence, or interference of another entity, whether as an individual, organization, or a nation. As a nation, independence is the ability to have gained sovereignty and self-governance, the ability to make and enforce your own rules without having to rely on external support or influence of any sort. There are facets of independence. Number one, we have the political independence. We talked about the gaining of freedom or sovereignty from colonial rule. Number two, we have the personal independence. We talk about the ability to self-govern yourself without requiring or relying on external support to meet your needs. We have the financial independence. We speak about your ability to gain economic sovereignty or economic sufficiency, and you do not necessarily have to rely on external support for the administration of your governance. All of this speaks of one thing: the ability to be able to manage, the ability to provide and meet your needs without relying on external support. That's what independence is. And if we look at this definition, the question would be, is Nigeria truly independent? And why do I have to ask this question? With information available to us from the Debt Management Organization and also the Bureau for Statistics, it says that as of 2015 rather, Nigeria's debt profile was at 12.1 trillion naira. But at the end of the first quarter of 2025, which is about 10 or 11 years afterwards, that debt burden has risen to a whopping amount of 149.3 trillion naira. And this represents over 1,135% increment. As at 2023, in the inception of this government, the debt burden or profile was at 87 trillion naira. And as of today, it is at 149.3 trillion naira. This represents about 62 trillion naira increment from the time of inception. If you want to just do a simple mathematics, it means that we have grown by 31 trillion naira in debt per year for the last 2 years. If you multiply this figure by the remaining 6 years of this administration, it means that our debt burden would have increased by an additional 186 trillion. And when you add 186 trillion to 150 trillion, you get a whopping sum of 336 or thereabout trillion naira in debt at the end of the 8-year administration of the current government. To make matter worse, according to the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu recently requested for a whopping sum of 21.5 billion US dollar external loan. This intention has raised serious red flags about the direction of Nigeria's fiscal policy, the transparency of legislative processes, and the sustainability of Nigeria's debt trajectory. Apart from that, this request represents the single largest debt request ever in the history of Nigeria. Do you know that this requested loan amount of $21.5 billion is $1.5 billion higher than the cost of the total construction of Dangote's refinery that employs over 3,500 workforce as of today? So which means we are borrowing the total cost of constructing a refinery to pay government expenses. Now, what are the drivers of debt? Let's just look at something economically. Number one, new borrowing, because the government is constantly borrowing. Number two, we have naira depreciation. Number three, we have fiscal pressure. Fiscal pressure is the continued reliance on borrowing to fund public expense. And we also have low revenue to GDP ratio. This simply means that we are borrowing to fund recurrent expenditure rather than building infrastructure or industries. What is the impact of this loan? Number one impact is that fiscal sustainability means that the soaring debt level with a debt to GDP ratio exceeding legal limits threatens our fiscal stability. Number two, revenue diversion. It means that the more we make money, the more we are diverting more money into servicing of our debts than infrastructural development. And the last and very worrisome one is the future burden. What does this mean? The increasing debt places a significant financial burden on our future generation, which means we have not just borrowed for this generation, we have borrowed against our future generation, which means our great-grandchildren are going to be born into the struggle of debt servicing or debt repayment. Now, we want to look at the primary causes of hardship in Nigeria. Number one is unemployment, we have corruption, we have non-diversification of the economy, we have income inequality, we have poor educational system. All of this can be considered to be some of the key factors that contribute to poverty in Nigeria. So what was the government's intervention in mitigating hardship in Nigeria? It was to disburse 50,000 naira to 3.5 million families in Nigeria, representing a whopping sum of 180 billion naira expended on stomach infrastructure. Mark you, this is purposely driven to further weaponize poverty as a political tool for electoral captivism aimed at self-perpetuity in governance. The poorer the people, the more dependent they are on their stipend to win or to buy over their electoral mandates. With the increasing burden of our debt profile, our economy is weakening, giving rise to infrastructural dilapidation, rise to poverty rate in Nigeria, and poor social and physiological condition required for the survival or the minimum comfort living condition of an average Nigerian. The big question is, are we truly celebrating independence or another form of self-imposed colonialism? Now, what can we do to quickly turn around our lot, seeing that our debt burden is increasing on an annual basis, and of course, our naira is being weakened against the borrowing currency? Number one, we need to reduce the cost of governance by reducing the number of ministries and ministers as a start. We need to ban public officers going on foreign trips with public money. What is the FRS chairman doing with all that fleet of cars, totaling over 1 billion naira for one individual, with the use of such amount or numbers of personnel? Have you taken time to Google the budget of the National Assembly for 2025? Now, we need to be able to streamline all of this. Number two, we need to cut our coat according to our size. Do you know that the federal government budget for 2025 is at 57 trillion naira, with an expected revenue of 35 trillion naira. Now, your budget is 57 trillion and your expected income is 37 trillion, leaving you with a deficit of about 13 trillion. And you don't have this deficit to be catered for more borrowing, sale of national assets, and of course, bonds and treasury bills. Number three is to create more jobs. So instead of Nupeng and Pengasin fighting to shut down Dangote refinery, they ought to hold the government to accountability for the billions of dollars that have been spent in the turnaround maintenance of our refineries that have never produced finished products. If these refineries could work, of course, we know it will translate to more employment opportunities for Nigeria. knowing fully well that the cause of hardship in Nigeria, number one cause of hardship in Nigeria is unemployment. I take it that from the pen, not to focus on a private business, but to focus on how government can ensure that other refineries are working and create employment for more people than what Dangote is able to employ as of today. Number 4 is to stop all this politically motivated myopicness by deliberately degrading the infrastructural development of political predecessors. For example, look at the Tinepa in Cross River State. Look at the Songhai farms in River State. All of these are infrastructural development that will have brought boom economically to all of this, to these states. But because of politically motivated myopicness, they were physically strangled to the point of non-functionality. It is my prayer that sooner than later we really celebrate true independence as individuals, whatever you can do, in the little way you can do, ensure we are contributing to this nation positively. One day we will look back and see that our little effort that we made have become a very gigantic contribution that have contributed to the great nation that we all envisage and pray for our nation, Nigeria. Until I come your way again, I remain yours, Pastor Harvey. Remain blessed. Ciao.